emergency of COVID-19 asked us to face. And mainly this is impacting the main, let's say, the most important clients we have, which are insurance companies and automotive and OEMs producers. Why? Because, of course, we all know that there is overall less mobility. We were forced at home. Someone of us is still forced at home, for example, in the US. So we are not using the cars anymore. And in general, so both OEMs and insurance companies needs to face this challenge because their end users are no longer using the cars, but they are still paying the bills. No, they are still paying the insurance company fees, and of course the mortgage of the car, or in general the services they bought with the car. For example, about the insurance companies, if I remember correctly, Fabio, a few days ago, you mentioned me that in some part of the Latin America, there is also a very, let's say, paradoxical situation, right, about the insurance coverage.
Yeah, that's correct. Let's say in some of the country in Latin America, the insurance coverage is not mandatory. So the customer, let's say, it's their decision to subscribe an insurance policy. In this case, for sure, having zero mobility because they are forced at home, they don't want to pay. So the decision that some of the insurance company has taken to retain the customer is to work at zero margin. So basically just cover the cost, but decrease the policy, decrease the cost to serve, and focus only on the customer retention. That's a very critical element in the let's say, context of the COVID, where every market is different. There is a regulation different, but there is also a let's say, customer reaction that is different. So it's very important to be, let's say, on top of the edge in terms of customer relationship, customer experience, and mobile is a strong enabler for that to manage this interaction. So maybe, Anek, can you describe us what do you think is the point of view on this topic from the car manufacturer that in a context of COVID, of limited mobility, can be a very challenging situation?
Absolutely. So first of all, hello to everyone. Hope you all are staying safe. It's been a challenging situation, especially as far as how automotive industry used to work, and how this has affected us because of the unexpected COVID. I don't think anybody expected this, and so we had serious disruption in our business. Mitsubishi, as our CEO calls, he calls us as small but beautiful. So we are not as big, or we are neither a volume brand, neither are we a premium brand. We are somewhere sandwiched in between. So the set of customers, or the customers that normally buy a Mitsubishi car, are also quite unique. We have very mixed crowd. Some of them who are very, very tech savvy, in the order that they even go online and configure their car themselves and get it delivered. On the other side, a large population of our customers are very traditional, old school. So they go to the dealership, look at the cars, look at the color, and of course the wife has to say on the color of the car. Of course, we all know that. And then they go back, discuss it, and then come back and then go to the next step of buying. So the customer journey has been quite simple. But because of this COVID, we are car manufacturers. We sell cars, so this is our bread and butter. Because of people is the center of our business. And everything was revolving around them. All of a sudden, our dealerships were empty spaces. There's no customers. Even though we from when the big impact was over, we slowly started to implement measures to provide more sanitization methods, to make it more clean and stuff like that, to make the customers feel comfortable. But this has been an eye opener for all of us. So we also are looking into actually digital concepts. So for some of the markets, we even have we Europe is a complicated market. We call it as Europe, but it's 20, 30 different countries, different customer journeys, different languages, right? So each market has its own share of how they handle customers. So some markets even went into a complete digital concept. So for example, vehicle configurators, we were looking at that. So they're providing the customers to basically build the car at home. And the distributors in that case, during the delivery date, would personally take the car and then deliver it to the customer's household. So these were things that we would never have even thought of doing in the past. And I think this is in a good way, because we are sort of getting ready for the future. I think digital space is the future. I would not be surprised tomorrow if there are no dealerships at all for a customer to walk into. Everything is available online. You can even sit inside the car with configurators and then see the interiors, how it feels and stuff like that. Not it feels tangibly, but a feel of it. So it's been an eye opener for us, and in a good way. We are being a very old school kind of a company that we are today. We have pushed ourselves to push ourselves outside the comfort zone and then get into these digital concepts, which I think in the next 5 years will only be increasing. So I think business models will change. The whole automotive industry will become service-based business. It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Anek.
It's very interesting. Sorry. It's very interesting. And I think that this, let's say, change in the perception of the mobile solution and how the mobile solution can become a very relevant touch point in the customer experience is very key. And the way let's say data flow into a new way to manage the customer experience is also key. Maybe Francesco, can you help us describing a little bit the concept of the segmentization, that it's a strong enabler for this aspect. So having the data on the side and having the, let's say, service provided on the other.
Yes, Fabio, I think this slide is very, very powerful, and it's divided in two sections, left and right. So on the left, we see how, and we speak about Octo ecosystem, we see how with the very same user experience and look and feel, we can basically enable a lot of different use cases, but in general, an overall user experience, regardless of which is the sensor, let's say the telematic sensor we are using or we are connecting. We see on the left the smartphone only solution, which is very trendy on the market right now, because it's very, it's true that it's entry level, but it's also true that every one of us has a smartphone in a pocket that can be transformed into a telematics device. Then we have the, let's say, new proposition, the Bluetooth-based proposition, and then a device-based proposition, meaning connecting self or professional installed devices. But here we are speaking about telematics. So here the concept, the very important concept is to stay with the clients from the early introduction of the telematics up to the adoption of the full telematics. But the most important part of the slide is the right one, because we want to, and we are able to extend the, let's say, the ecosystem of the sensors connected, opening the platform. And Octo invested many years in building an IoT platform through the connection of different sensors. For example, home assistants like Google Home or Alexa, health products like Fitbit or in general smartwatch, and in-car sensors. So for example, we can enable multi-vertical solutions and programs, also mixing the telematics data together with the in-car data. And I think that here maybe Anek, you can describe a little bit what we are doing together with Mitsubishi in, you know, trying to mix this kind of data.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So like I briefly touched upon about the digital concepts or service-driven business. Smartphone today is like it's like a necessity, right? I mean, I don't think nobody can live without smartphone these days. They carry them around everywhere, and we see a very close interaction between smartphones and the vehicle itself today. So every car manufacturers today are trying to bring the customers through their smartphone and the car together. It's a very personalized approach. And that being said, yes, we've been working with Octo now on a project where it's a smartphone-based solution. I think we'll get into the details into that a little bit, where the smartphone provides a lot of services, keeping the customer always in mind. Yeah, so we didn't want to develop apps where the customer downloads it and then forgets about it. We wanted to improve the touch points that the customer provides. The customer can be offered with as an OEM from us. So that's what we looked into in this particular use case to bring the car closer to the user with the smartphone.
Okay, maybe we can connect to what Anek was saying. Maybe trying to describe what are the possible innovative use cases, especially the ones enabled by mixing data coming from different sensors. And in this slide you can see some of them. We will briefly touch them, but for example, what Anek was saying is quite, let's say, it's quite easy to understand when speaking about predictive maintenance. So the idea about mixing the data, the telematics data coming from the sensors, and the let's say in-car data coming from the onboard unit of the car can allow us and the client to enable a very innovative use case. For example, trying to understand in advance if a particular spare part, for example, the braking system or other part of the car, are getting used and they need to be replaced. So in order to warn the user in advance, but together with telematics, we can maybe try to, let's say, change the behavior of the user, saying the user that modifying the behavior, it can extend, for example, the life of a particular subsystem of the car. And this, I think, it's a very innovative use case. I don't know, Fabio or Anek, if you want to comment this, but I think it's very powerful, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the future. Merge data into a single, let's say, let's limit it to the user interface, so to a single user interface, enabling value-added services, cross-vertical, so mixing telematics with the in-car data, with contextual data coming from the road, coming from the, let's say, traffic, weather. It's going in the direction to enrich and contribute to the let's say, extension of the value chain. This extension of the value chain, I think, is a very key concept. So we need to use the data in a sort of 1 + 1 make 3 in terms of business value. So I think this is very, very key. So create and work in an open environment, open ecosystem, to enrich and generate additional value and return the value to the user to manage his customer intimacy and customer connection, to retain it and keep it in my value chain. So enlarge the value chain to provide value to the customer.
Okay, so maybe let me describe a bit the other possible use cases. Of course, this is a brainstorming also for us. It's a very interesting session. What we thought is that we can, for sure, in this particular moment where we are staying home and as we said, we need to pay the services. We can for sure enable some new touch points, and it's strange to say, because we are speaking about loyalty and rewards program. We are very used to loyalty and rewards program with airline miles program or whatever, but in reality, insurance companies and OEMs I think are very weak in terms of loyalty programs. Maybe then Anek will help me on this concept. But in general, I mean, I have a car, I have an insurance policy, but I never saw a real loyalty and rewards program. This kind of telematics program are allowing the companies to build some very, let's say, interesting use cases. Like, for example, being at home, I can be rewarded because I'm staying home. Together with Fabio, we were speaking about the fact that being home in the last 2 months, the number of accidents around the world probably is reduced to almost 0. This means that maybe insurance company have some margins left that can invest in maybe rewarding users because they are at home. And I think it's a very powerful touch point with the user. So me as a user, I need to pay the insurance company, but maybe being rewarded, even if I'm staying home, because and with this reward, I can buy some books or some goods. I think it's a very powerful touch point. And the gamification is reinforcing this concept. So we are creating games, very simple games, in order for the user, in order for us to promote what we want. For example, a better and more sustainable way of driving. So I think these two are very powerful in terms of user engagement. I don't know if my colleagues wants to comment on this.
Well, I think it's really the future. The future is to have a flexible value chain, understanding which are the, let's say, target, let's call it the target margin space that we have on the different step of the value chain, and understand how to be flexible and adapting the customer experience and reversing value to the customer. So my end objective is to have an happy customer, is have a loyal customer. So that's my, let's say, priority as a company, generally speaking. So the more we are using the data, the more we are enabling such a new way of working with the customer, I think is going absolutely in the right direction.
Okay, and I think that also another super powerful use case is what we call the marketplace, and I'm sure that Anek will describe you probably better in, let's say, in the part of the presentation when he will describe the solution we built together. But as a general concept, what we consider as a marketplace is a typical use case. It's a multi-vertical use case because we are mixing again data coming from different verticals. We are using telematics data coming from the sensors. And in this particular use case, the typical customer, I mean client, is not the insurance company, is a fleet company, a OEM, or whatever player that is collecting a lot of data, a lot of telematics data, and they basically don't know what to do with this kind of data. And the idea is to build a panel of multiple insurance companies that are willing to receive this kind of telematics data, especially the scoring, I mean, let's say the risk profiling scoring, in order for them to better evaluate the users. So they are basically buying this kind of data, and they are able to produce and to offer tailor-made propositions and solutions, insurance solutions, to the users. So at the end, the user of the mobile application that is collecting data is allowing, of course, opting in for this service to receive different insurance companies' offers. And so we are transforming somehow an OEM into a broker, into an insurance broker, offering the user to receive real discounts and a real comparison of different insurance, let's say, offers. What do you think, Anek?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we were trying to do with you guys. So what we wanted to do is bring our experience, which we are vehicle manufacturers, and combine that with industry experts like Octo, who's been so long working in the telematic space. Combine both of that together to provide a better service for our customers. And this is only going to the so-called partnership. I mean, it need not be inter-automotive industry. It is also intra-automotive. We see insurance companies and OEMs coming together. We have data aggregators working very closely with OEMs. So we have a few other partners that we also work with. And what we developed together with Octo is keeping the customer at the center of thing. I mean, like Fabio said, a happy customer is a loyal customer. I 100% vouch for that. And loyalty is what our customers have been offering. And we have one of the highest loyalty attrition in our field. Our customers normally come back and buy another Mitsubishi over top of that. And so we wanted to provide them with also these services. And that's why we partnered together with Octo to develop. Fabio, if you can probably then go to the next slide. I think that's the Sense application. Yeah. So sorry if I jumped a slide there. Sorry for that, guys. But basically, what this is, it's an application, a smartphone-only based solution, where we are combining the driving skills of a customer and providing engaging activities like rewards program and challenges. And with additional features like roadside assistance, digital roadside assistance. This is something which is very proprietary of Mitsubishi. Every Mitsubishi car has 5 years of free roadside assistance today. So what we did is we basically took that service, put that into a digital concept, and made that as part of a feature inside the app. So what you see here is basically the digital roadside assistance platform, where the customer experience has been enhanced significantly. So let's say pre-COVID situation, the customer met with an accident. They just click on the button inside the app. The call is triggered. The agent picks up the call, knows exactly who's calling, what the GPS location is, what kind of assistance is needed, and the service is provided immediately. On the other side, we're also keeping the customer engaged with the rewards program. I mean, we don't want the customer, like I said before, just to download the app and forget about it. We want the customer to use that on a daily basis, be part of his life. So with every driving cycles that he does, he or she is eligible for rewards. Points are being accumulated, and then eventually that turns into rewards which the customer can redeem from the dealership. So it is telematics, and the main component of it is UBI. So the customer, the user-based insurance, which we all are very familiar about. So we just not only focused on the UBI concept here, because let's admit it, the customers are quite new to the UBI, but also mix that with new additional functionalities like the rewarding program, gamification program, and also the roadside assistance that I said, to provide a complete package for the customer as a service. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. No, very interesting, Anek. I think you are touching the key point of this session, that is bring the customer, bring the user experience at the center of the attention. And this drives me to another key point, let's say trend, the wave that we are facing on data independence. Maybe Francesco, can you elaborate a little bit on this concept, that I think it's very key for the, let's say, strategic evolution of this topic?
Yes, and to be honest, probably data independence is a bit cryptic, like as a sentence. So let's try to explain it a little bit better. So I think it means two things. The first one, and I basically lived with this in my last 20 years. So the reality is that the approach at the beginning was very, let's say, technologically focused. So we were used to build programs or solutions starting from the technology. What the technology can do, then we will adapt, let's say, the user experience, the customer experience, dependently on what the technology can do. I think that in 2020, and as a trend in the last years, we saw as we need to start at the opposite. So we need to start from the customer experience. We need to build the use cases. And this is exactly what we did together with Mitsubishi in many co-design sessions. So first, we decided what are the services and which is the user experience we want to offer our customers, our end users, and then the technology, and this is why we call it data independence. So we need to be independent from data. The technology and the platform needs to be flexible and modular, and needs to allow the crazy guys from marketing and design, which are building the use cases, to build this kind of use cases with the technology. So this is the first part of the data independence. The second one is more, let's say, technological, and it's of course we are dealing with different type of clients. We are dealing with tier 1 companies, tier 2 companies, and tier 3 companies. So we can offer whatever we said until now, but there is more, of course. I mean, Octo, or in general, the telematics player can act as factories. So it can produce mobile application and end-to-end services. But it's even true that big players have their own solutions, their own mobile application, their own user base of customers. And they don't want probably to publish or to build a new mobile application. They want to embed this kind of services inside their existing programs. And what does it mean, independence? Means that everything is built upon an SDK and some APIs, many APIs, that we can offer to our clients in order to embed all the services in their existing program. So this is what we mean with data independence. I don't know, Fabio, if you want to.
I think that's a very key concept. We let's say as a player in an ecosystem that is not carved on stone. So we are in a very fluid situation. I think the need and the expectation and the level of complexity of the ecosystem today will change very much in the near future. So it's a very rapid changing game. COVID most probably has also accelerated some of those dynamics. Let's imagine for a lot of companies the price pressure that today and cost containment that today is in place. For sure, go in a digital world will enlarge and provide the money on the table to work this out. But to get the opportunity, you need to be faster and let's say modular. So being able to introduce SDK and API model into an existing, let's call it customer engagement profile. So an existing program to work with the customer, enriching with creating a new touch point, both in terms of data generation, so an SDK for generating mobile telematic data, and an interface to consume gamification, loyalty, rewarding, all the value-added services that were mentioned. I think it's key to adapt to any context. Most of those services are very common, can be a car manufacturer like in the Mitsubishi example, can be, let's say, an insurance company with very similar need, and both should leverage the same technical capability here.
Okay.
Anek, what do you think about the ability and the let's say, technical need to work this out? So how do you see technology and the role of the data inside this value chain that is new somehow?
Well, I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest, Fabio. The key word is partnership here. So there are OEMs who likes to do everything on their own, but there are this particular ecosystem is changing, right? I mean, it's all about partnership. There are some things that we are good at, which is manufacturing cars. There are some things where we are not good at, where we are learning, and that's why we have partners like you, where we've tied up to develop additional services. As at the end of the thing, it's a cliched statement: customer is the king. There are a lot of options for the customers to go to today. So keeping the customers with you, keeping the customers happy, that's the only way to go it. And just another thing I would like to say is data is the new currency. This is not just keeping customers in mind, it's also equally important for us OEMs. It keeps us closer to our customers. It improves the touch points that we have today with our customers, because it's very simple. How often do we see our customers? It's when they go to the dealership for service or when they meet with an accident and take it for repair. But with data and with such digital platforms, it takes us much closer to the customer. So we also know what our customer wants, and therefore improve our offering to these customers as well. So that's the key message here, that data is here to stay, and it's all about partnership.
Yeah,
I think, Fabio, there are questions, right?
Yeah, there is one interesting question on the data ownership, let's call it. So who is the owner of the, from your point of view, of the data? The insurance company, the OEM, or the end user?
To be honest, if I need to give you my personal opinion, I would say the user. So
yeah.
I second that. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
the user, in fact, let's say there is a technological challenge behind, because it's what we call data portability, and it's not simple at all. So basically, we can be requested to port data from one, exactly like in the, let's say, in the mobile, let's say in the telco space. So you are owner of your mobile number, and you can ask to bring your mobile number wherever you want. I would say that probably in telematics is exactly the same. So I think this is my personal opinion. I don't know you, Fabio, and what you think, but I think you're thinking the same, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Another point, and I think is the last question, I think is about the different market context. There are countries where the average price for an insurance policy is in the range of the 100 euro. What do you think is feasible in order to perform this, let's say, this process, this value proposition that we're saying in a country where the price pressures is very high? Is there space for those type of proposition or no?
Well, it's a very good point, of course, and I think who is making the question knows what to ask. So basically, it's true. Different markets, different, completely different contexts and margins on the policies. What I can tell you is that we faced different scenarios, and we made programs. For example, we made programs in Germany where the margins, especially for Casco users, are super high. So it's very easy to bring a rewards, let's say, program there. But we also were able, together with our partner, and unfortunately we didn't touch, let's say, in this session, the importance of an extended network, an extended ecosystem of partners that I think we have. In order to have the ability also to offer this kind of services with a smaller amount of rewards. So it's not said that you need to, as they are doing, for example, in Canada, to offer $250 of rewards to the users, but maybe there are also $5 vouchers that can be offered. Of course, the user knows, depending on what he's paying, he cannot, of course, expect to pay $200 a year and to receive $100 of rewards. So, but this is again important, speaking about the flexibility and modularity. So you need to choose partners and a technology that can allow you to be flexible. And in this very case, I think that we can anyway offer some kind of rewards to the user. And it's not said that the rewards needs to be real money. For example, Mitsubishi, Anek, if I remember correctly, you decided to offer discounts on maintenance. And this is not real money, no? This is a discount, and this is valid also for insurance companies. It's what we call the cross-fertilization. No? Cross-fertilization means that in the rewards in the store, you can offer discounts on products presented in different lines. For example, the motor program can allow the users to receive discounts on health products, life products, home products, or whatever. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, I think very much. So I think the time is over. I've seen there are another couple of questions in the session, but for sure we will have the opportunity for the near future to have other Smart Talk session. I want to thank our contributor, our speaker today. Thank you, Anek. Thank you, Francesco. And see you soon for the next Octo Smart Talk session in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Take care.